All right, so you guys wanted to know how to tell if someone's, really into you? Well, get ready for some serious decoding because we're diving deep into body language.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, all those subtle signs of attraction. And to guide us on this journey, we've got this YouTube video titled, How to Tell If She Likes You. 11 subtle body language clues you need to know.
Sounds intriguing. I mean, it is amazing how much we communicate without even saying a word, right?
Yeah, it's like a whole secret language.
Exactly. And those cues can give us real insights. But it's always important to remember context matters. You can't just take one gesture and assume you know what's going on in someone's head,
Oh, for sure. It's not like we're carrying around a body language dictionary or something.
Exactly.
But having a basic understanding of these signals, it can definitely help add another layer to how we understand those interactions.
Absolutely.
So the video jumps right in talking about physical touch. It claims that even really small touches initiated by a woman can be a big deal. But I'm thinking, I bump into people all the time, especially if it's crowded. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm hitting on them.
Right, right. It's important to differentiate between accidental contact and purposeful touch. That's what the video emphasizes. And it's that purposeful touch, even if it's fleeting, that creates a sense of connection.
So, picture this. You're at a party. You're both reaching for the same, appetizer, right? And your hands brush. That doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
But what if, she lingers a little? Or maybe, gives your hand a little squeeze?
Ah, now that changes things, doesn't it? That's a conscious choice to extend that interaction and to signal, hey, I'm enjoying this moment with you. Plus, there's a physiological element to it, too. Touch, it triggers the release of oxytocin, which is sometimes called the bonding hormone.
So it's not just about the physical sensation. It's like a chemical reaction, too.
Exactly. It's like a little burst of, hey, I like you.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this all works.
Yeah.
So speaking of subtle signals, this video talks about exposing the neck. Apparently, it's a major vulnerability signal.
Interesting.
Now, I got to say, I never thought of the neck as being particularly suggestive.
Well, think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. The neck is a very vulnerable area. It's one we instinctively protect. So when someone exposes their neck, it's like a sign of trust, a sign of comfort. It's like they're saying, I feel safe with you. I'm letting my guard down.
Whoa. Okay, I never thought of it like that. So what kind of neck-exposing gestures are we talking about here? I need a visual.
The video mentions things like tilting the head, brushing the hair aside, even just slightly lowering the chin. These are all things that draw attention to the neck and create a sense of openness.
So if someone's always playing with their hair or tilting their head towards me, that could be a subconscious sign they're interested.
It could be. But again, context is key. You have to consider the entire interaction and the individual's, baseline behavior. Some people are just more touchy-feely than others.
True, true. Okay, so this next one is straight out of a spy movie. We're talking dilated pupils.
Okay.
Are we really supposed to be noticing things like that?
It may sound a little far-fetched, but dilated pupils are a genuine physiological response to things, to people that we find appealing. It's like our body's way of trying to take in more of what we find visually stimulating.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So if someone's pupils widen when they look at you, that's a good sign, right? Their eyes are literally saying, I want to see more of you.
It can be, yes. But remember, it's not always a conscious thing. It's often driven by subconscious factors. And of course, there could be other reasons for pupil dilation, like changes in lighting or, emotional arousal in general.
Right, right. So maybe we shouldn't be staring into everyone's eyes, trying to measure their level of interest.
Probably not.
But the video also mentions sideways glances, as a test of attention.
Yeah, it's a way of checking if you're still looking, if you're engaged. It's a subtle invitation to connect on a more, intimate level.
Ah, so it's like a secret code for, hey, I'm interested. Are you?
Exactly. And it often happens in conjunction with other signals, like a little smile or raised eyebrow,
The intrigue.
Right.
So we're building up our repertoire of, secret flirtation signals here. I like it.
Exactly.
Okay, so this next one, this is something I never would have thought of. Apparently, we got to pay attention to the direction of the feet.
Interesting.
I mean, really, our feet are giving away our secret desires. This is getting deep.
Well, our bodies are constantly communicating, even in ways we don't realize. Our feet tend to point in the direction we want to go, or towards the person we're most interested in, subconsciously.
Oh, okay. So if someone's body is facing me, but their feet are angled away, That's a sign their mind is elsewhere. Like they're not really into it.
Exactly. Classic example of mixed signals. Their body language might be saying one thing, but their feet reveal their true intention.
I'm never going to look at feet the same way again, I'm telling you. This is like a superpower or something.
It's just about becoming more attuned to the nuances of nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
The more you pay attention, the more you start to pick up on these cues.
Okay, so moving on in our body language crash course, we've got focusing on the lips. The video suggests that things like reapplying lipstick can be a way of drawing attention to, a sensual feature, right? I mean, that seems pretty straightforward to me.
It's a little more nuanced than that. It's not just about drawing attention to the lips themselves, but about highlighting a feature associated with attraction and intimacy.
Oh.
It's a way of subtly saying, hey, notice this.
Ah, okay. So it's not just like a random act of vanity. It's like a way of sending a message.
Right, exactly.
But is it always intentional? I mean, sometimes I reapply my lipstick just because my lips feel dry, you know?
Right, context is always key. But even if it's not a deliberate act of flirtation focusing on the lips, it can still be a sign of nervousness or self-consciousness, especially when we're around someone we're attracted to.
So it's not just about sending a signal. It's about managing our own emotions and trying to present ourselves in the best possible light.
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay, so this one threw me for a loop. Flaring nostrils. Nostrils.
Really? Is that like a thing?
Well, it might sound strange, but it's fascinating.
Yeah.
When we get excited or anticipate something, our body needs more oxygen. Flaring the nostrils is simply a way to increase intake.
So it's like a subtle gasp of anticipation. Huh. I never would have thought of that.
Right. It's a subtle cue, but it's really hard to fake. So if you see someone's nostrils flaring while you're talking to them, it could be a sign they're genuinely interested, engaged in what you're saying.
Wow, this is making me rethink all those times I tried to play it cool, you know? Maybe I've been sending all the wrong signals.
Right. Maybe.
Okay, so speaking of unintentional signals, this next one seems a little more straightforward. Entering your personal space. I mean, we all have that invisible bubble, right?
We do. And it's definitely like uncomfortable when someone you don't like gets too close. But when it's someone you are attracted to, it's almost like thrilling, isn't it?
It is. It's about breaking down barriers, both physically and emotionally. When someone willingly steps into your personal space, it suggests a certain level of trust and a desire for closer interaction.
So it's not just about proximity, it's about intimacy. Like that shared energy.
Exactly.
I like it. All right, so on to another one, and I think we all can relate to this one. Open posture. Now, I'm thinking I probably need to work on this one. My default posture is like hunched over my laptop.
We all have our moments, but it's good to be mindful of our posture, especially in social settings.
Right.
Standing tall, keeping your arms uncrossed, facing the person you're talking to. Those are all ways to convey confidence and openness.
Yeah, it's like an invitation to connect. I'm comfortable, I'm listening.
Exactly. And it makes the other person feel more at ease, too.
Okay, taking notes here. So far, we've covered physical touch, exposing the neck, dilated pupils, sideways glances, the direction of the feet, focusing on the lips, flaring nostrils, and open posture. I'm telling you, this is a lot of process, but I'm ready for more. What's next on our body language decoding adventure?
Oh.
All right, hit me with the next level of body language decoding. What other secrets does this video have?
Well, it brings up another classic sign of attraction. Clear and intentional eye contact.
Yeah.
We kind of all know that eye contact is important, but this video, it goes into some interesting details about like the nuances of this behavior.
Oh, yeah. I've always wondered about that. Like, how long is too long? You know, asking for a friend, of course.
Right.
Like, is there a point where it just gets creepy?
Well, it's not so much about the duration. It's more about the quality, you know? It's that depth of focus, the sense that the other person is like really seeing you, trying to understand you, maybe on an emotional level.
Okay. So not just a glance, but like a connection.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. One of those moments where you feel like you can see into someone's soul or something.
Yeah. The video talks about seeking someone's gaze across a crowded room, creating that special connection, even with all those distractions.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that's powerful. It makes me think about the difference between just like looking at someone
Right.
versus looking into someone.
Exactly.
The whole other level of communication, I think, when you really make eye contact with someone.
Absolutely. And think about how it feels when someone holds your gaze while you're speaking.
Yeah.
You feel heard, seen, validated.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very powerful way to build that rapport and create a sense of intimacy.
Okay, I'm going to be way more mindful of my eye contact from now on.
Yeah.
This is making me realize, like, how much I'm missing.
Right.
Okay, so moving on. What about playing with hair?
Okay.
This one I feel like, I don't know, is it good?
Well, the video, it suggests that it's actually often a mix of nervousness and ease attraction. It's a way to kind of self-soothe when you're anxious, but it's also a way to, draw attention to ourselves, especially when we're around someone we find attractive.
Right, right. So it's like a subconscious way of saying, hey, look at me. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also kind of into you.
Exactly. And it draws attention to the hair, which is often seen as like a feminine and sensual feature. So it can also be a way to enhance one's appeal.
It's like a double whammy, calming our nerves, A&D amping up the flirtation.
Oh, I
like it. But how do you tell the difference between someone who's like actually flirting and someone who just like always plays with their hair? Like maybe they're bored or something.
That's a great question. It comes down to context and observation. Look for those other signs we've been talking about: eye contact, open posture, proximity. If those are there, then, playing with their hair might be a sign of flirtation.
Okay, so it's all about the bigger picture, putting all the pieces together. All right, what about mirroring? That's the last one, right?
Yeah.
And this one seems particularly interesting to me.
Yeah, mirroring's fascinating. It's that subconscious tendency to kind of mimic the movements, gestures of people we like, that we feel connected to. It's a way to build that rapport, create a sense of harmony.
Okay, so like if I scratch my nose,
right,
and then the person I'm talking to, they subtly scratch theirs like a few seconds later, is that mirroring?
It could be, yeah. It's not about, blatantly copying.
Right.
It's these subtle, often unconscious mirrorings of gestures, posture, tone of voice, even breathing.
Wow. So it's like our bodies are trying to sync up.
Yeah, to create a sense of shared experience.
That's pretty cool. So if someone is like consistently mirroring me, that's a good sign that they're, feeling a connection.
It can be a very strong indicator of rapport and interest, but it's important to note that not everyone mirrors to the same extent.
Right, right.
Some people are just naturally more expressive and empathetic than others.
True, true. And I guess some people are more self-aware and might try to like consciously control their body language.
Right.
So it's not a perfect system.
No.
But it's definitely another tool for our body language decoding toolkit.
It is. And what's really interesting is that we can use mirroring intentionally to actually build rapport with others.
Really? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. It's about subtly matching the other person's energy, their body language. If they lean back, you lean back a little. If they're speaking softly, you lower your voice a bit.
Oh, okay.
It's about creating that synchronicity. It can make the other person feel more at ease and understood.
So it's like a secret weapon for building connections, making people feel comfortable around you.
It can be. But there is a fine line between subtle mirroring and creepy mimicking.
Right, right, right. You don't want to overdo it.
Exactly. It's about being subtle and authentic.
Okay, so use your mirroring powers wisely.
Right.
Got it. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've decoded, 11 subtle body language cues, everything from, physical touch to eye contact to this mysterious art of mirroring.
Lots of stuff, yeah.
I gotta say, I feel like I have a whole new awareness about, the power of this nonverbal communication.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing how much we reveal through our actions, even when we're not consciously trying to send a message.
So true.
Yeah.
But as we wrap up here, I think it's important to remember that body language is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Absolutely.
It's not like we can go around analyzing every little twitch,
Right.
and expect to just instantly understand everything about someone.
No, definitely not.
We have to think about context, personality, all those other things that contribute to, human interaction.
Exactly. These cues, they can be valuable, but they're not guarantees. The best approach is to be observant, to be open-minded, and, to communicate directly when you're unsure.
Well said.
Oh, thanks.
This has been a truly insightful and entertaining deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I have a whole new perspective on this whole, subtle dance of attraction,
Me too. And I think the biggest takeaway is that the more we understand this nonverbal communication, the more equipped we are to really build like genuine connections.
So there you have it, folks, your crash course in the body language of attraction.
Yeah.
Now go forth and decode. But remember, be respectful, be observant, and most importantly, be yourselves.
Well said. Until next time, happy decoding.
You know, I gotta say, this whole deep dive's really made me like hyper aware of my own WN body language. Like, what am I sending out into the world without even thinking about it?
That's what's so cool about it, right? You become more aware of not just what others are saying, but what you're putting out there too.
All these cues we've talked about, is there one that like really stands out to you, one you notice a lot?
You know, what I find fascinating is that they often work in clusters. It's rarely just one thing.
Right. Yeah.
But if I had to pick one that I think is especially insightful, it'd be mirroring.
Mirroring, yeah. So subtle, but so powerful. It's like that secret handshake of the subconscious. Hey, we're on the same wavelength.
Exactly. And the more we know about that subconscious stance, the better we can connect with others, navigate these interactions with more, I don't know, grace.
It's not about manipulating or forcing anything. It's about understanding and respect.
Absolutely. And even though these cues can be helpful, we got to remember they're not like guarantees.
Right.
Context is everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We can't just like reduce human communication to a checklist of signals.
Exactly. We got to think about the individual's personality,
Right.
cultural background,
Yeah.
all the things that shape how they behave.
Plus, some people are just naturally more expressive or, more reserved.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to be observant, but also open-minded and willing to communicate directly if you're unsure. Body language, it's a powerful tool, but it works best when you combine it with, honest verbal communication.
So the next time we're in a social situation, we can go in with more awareness, knowing there's this whole other layer of communication happening.
Well said. It's about being present, paying attention, appreciating that dance.
This deep dive has been so enlightening, honestly. I feel like I've gained tools to not just understand others better,
Yeah.
but be a better communicator myself.
Me too. And it's a journey, continuous learning. That's what makes it so fascinating.
Well, there you have it, folks. Your crash course on the body language of attraction. We've decoded those secret signals, explored all the nuances of nonverbal communication. Hopefully you feel empowered to handle your own interactions with more confidence and awareness. Remember, be observant, be respectful, and most importantly, be yourselves.
Until next time, happy decoding.